Hi everyone, greetings from NSN Hyderabad. We are continuing with our skill talks, and this time we wanted to make it very topical and very relevant to the COVID situation we are all facing. And one of the industry sectors which is contributing in a very big way and has risen to the occasion in many ways through many strategic industry partnerships is the logistics industry. The logistics industry in India for the skill development requirements is coordinated by the Sector Skill Council as it is done for many other industries. And I'm very happy to tell you that today we have with us Mr. Ramesh Venkat,
Thank you.
who's the head of industry partnerships and alliances at Logistics Skill Council. Mr. Ramesh, thanks a lot for giving us this time, despite the very busy kind of a schedule you have, as I understand, with so many activities happening with the Logistics Skill Council. I'm really glad you could give us a few minutes today. And
Pleasure is mine.
we would like to learn from you about the current priorities, how you're taking up every day the new challenges that are coming in the industry. So let me get started by asking you, how is the logistics industry coping with the challenges of supply chain with the disruption that's happening with COVID-19?
Thank you for having me in your show. And yeah, good question. So the thing is today, post-pandemic, especially if you look at the vaccine or the need of the hour, the oxygen, be it cryogenic oxygen or cylinders or, oxygen concentrators. So there's been a lot of mayhem and it's been a need of the hour. And so the disruptions have happened so far, so soon that there is a huge paucity of skilled workforce. And to answer your question, challenges are very many, though, I mean, the sector per se is on a boom. If you look at, there are 12 subsectors in logistics. Okay, so these 12 subsectors, when I say, I'd like to just quickly tell you what these 12 subsectors are.
Yeah.
So logistics has Logistics Sector Skill Council has the scope of these 12 subsectors with whom we interact in terms of skilling, placement, apprenticeships, etc. So they are warehousing, transportation, courier and express service, port terminals, ICD, CFS, air cargo operations, EXIM, export import, that is, which includes freight forwarding, customs, custom clearance, cold chain. E-commerce has been, ramping up so heavily post-pandemic. I'll come to that. Then we have supply chain for manufacturing, liquid logistics, rail logistics, and the recent one is the inland waterways. So these are the 12 subsectors that we spread across pan-India. And each of these 12 subsectors has their own banes and boons. So during this pandemic, challenges that we are facing is on transportation. Because if you look at the landscape today, though you find essential goods, commodities moving, otherwise, road transportation is a pretty much stressed sector because 90% are MSMEs.
Yeah.
They borrowed a lot of finance for their trucks. Trucks have not been flying. There's no business. They have to pay the drivers. That is a big challenge. And it's a stressed thing. But for that, another thing is, especially during this pandemic, to name quick two. One is the vaccine distribution, where the fraternities come forward and ramping up and meeting a lot of supply challenges in the country. Most critical factor is this oxygen, which is the need of the hour. We find that drivers are our frontline warriors today by default design. None of these guys are vaccinated because they are the neglected lot. So when they go to high viral load, places like hospitals, they go in COVID negative and come out as COVID positive. And there are a lot of challenges that we face because people need oxygen, and we are trying the best collectively, the manufacturers, the transporters, the ministry, all of us have come together. We find that the drivers are falling victims to COVID because of lack of vaccination. Then there are a lot of other hassles that they face. No food on the highway. They can't stop anywhere. And they also face a lot of, political anguish where these trucks are sometimes hijacked by the politicos. So these are the challenges. But post-pandemic, if you look at, I would like to remark a very good thing about logistics is, as you're aware, that under Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, there are about 37 sector skills today, of which there are only 4 sector skills that is up, live, kicking, and running today.
Hmm.
So one is the agri sector, which includes all your food processing, FMCG, essential commodities, staples, grains, etc. They are doing well, and there's a humongous need of skilled workforce there. Second is, like I said, logistics and e-commerce. E-commerce has been a big boom because, as you're aware, people order all by press of a button,
Yeah.
and the consumption has boomed in India. And one big challenge that we are facing is that the last mile delivery in logistics, that is, when the consumption has boomed, there are no resources to go deliver this consumer products at the confines or the convenience of the customers in their homes.
Hmm.
That is where there is a proliferation of skilled workforce. There's a humongous need. And I can quote, I buy from Amazon, Big Basket through e-commerce. If you look at the first wave, as a Prime customer, I used to get it on the same day. I'm talking about a year ago.
Yeah.
Today, the estimated time of delivery has moved up from 1 day to 25 days.
Yeah.
Okay, which means there's a lot of challenges for getting skilled resources to deliver. So that is one space where skilling placement is going to happen, and there'll be a big disruption. So this is one. And post-pandemic, I think, yeah, logistics has boomed, especially on exports. After China was cut off, we find the volume and value going up across multimodal through shipping, through air, which is good, which has never been there. So interestingly, the other 2 sectors are health and pharma, where you find there's a lot of need for the frontline warriors like nurses, lab technicians, doctors, and the workforce at the hospitals. That is on a very, very high. Because this is, again, like logistics, it is really tested people, and there is a huge need. That is the third sector. Fourth is IT, which is software and hardware. And as you would have seen, world over, there is very, very high adaptation of digitized.
Yeah. Yeah, so you had mentioned about the drivers, who are at risk, and also the criticality of supplying, let's say, oxygen or the vaccines and things like that, which is the topmost priority today. So how is this Sector Skill Council, as a skill council, trying to ramp up skilling for them, or trying to arrange things? And also, I could see that you have been talking about few partnerships. We were reading about them. So how are all these partnerships coming up and helping you to cater to the current situation, which is so very different and so very not so normal, for any industry for that matter?
Yeah, thanks. So, see, the situation today that India is facing, or the globally, world over, these are unprecedented and pretty much testing times.
Yeah.
So, under the aegis of Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, we've come together as and initiated. This is a joint initiative of ministries, along with NSDC. LSE has been front-ending, and we've also partnered with Indian Chemical Council based out of Mumbai, where all the HASCHEM, that is hazardous material chemicals manufacturers, including oxygen and all others, we've come together along with the transporter in building. This is a capacity building for transportation of liquid cryogenic medical oxygen across the country, where the focus is on building up the driver. So COVID-19, the second wave, has been pretty much alarming. And before this could conclude, I mean, we hear that there is a third wave that is predicted. So the health infrastructure is severely stressed. Oxygen has become critical requirement at all hospitals. So there's a dire need for liquid medical oxygen, which constitutes to almost 90% of oxygen supplies by volume and value to large hospitals. When I say this, see, all these tanker cryogenic oxygens go to hospitals where the number of beds are above 50, 50.
Mhm.
So in all, there are about 1,200 tanker vehicles presently deployed to ferry the liquid medical oxygen pan-India. These vehicles continuously move and hence need two drivers to be deployed
Yeah.
as a for business continuity and sustainable things, so that any delay, you find people dying at the hospitals. So
Mhm.
the drivers of LMO, liquid medical oxygen, are specially required to be trained, are in huge paucity. Pandemic seems fast depleting uh, in the sense the available human resources, I mean the driver, they also get into fatigue and attrition because they drive medium, short, long haul distances, and they are pushed to the brim. Some of the drivers, they, without eating, without sleeping, they are tested. So all drivers must have be HMV qualified, which is heavy motor vehicle license qualified.
Yeah.
And we are picking up only those drivers who already have this qualification along with HMV license, who are chemical hazard driving certified, because driving a tanker is not a joke, because it is scientific. There are a lot of technical things that is involved because it is liquid logistics. If a driver drives fast and takes a deep curve, the tanker might roll over.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of other things like sloshing of the liquid inside, braking, speed, etc. So given all the challenges, we need to create a bench strength of 2,400 drivers at least, allowing for the attrition during COVID. Like I said earlier, many of falling victims. And there are other factors centric to these manufacturing locations and to reach oxygen to the hospitals. So the end-to-end tasks, activities are completely now being digitized collectively by all the stakeholders. And we are ramping up to skill these liquid oxygen drivers. And what we've done is we've created a content which was given to us by all the manufacturers, So one is the drivers availability. Second, we've made the training content. Third, we've started hosting the content and creating training of trainers or master trainers. And we had the first batch on Sunday because we didn't want to lose out time on a war footing where there is a dire need. Ashok Leyland had come out with all their master trainers who already are certified in hazmat cargo. And we are good to go. And another thing is Ministry of Commerce have also given us a humongous database of has cargo drivers, taking the data from all the RTOs. This apart, ICC, which is Indian Chemical Council, they already monitor lakhs of trucks carrying acids, gases, which are highly hazardous. So we've all come together, put the puzzles in place to skill train. So when I say skill train, there are two parts to it. We've already created a 4-hour refresher course for those drivers who are already has cargo skilled, so that they know how to operate the truck. And we also teach them on the product, because cryogenic oxygen, if it falls on your skin or eyes, it is very, very dangerous. You lose the skin and the eyes, because the cryogenic, the content of these liquid oxygen are almost minus 73 degrees. It is like your frostbite.
Yeah.
Now we've ramped up and built the capacity to train these drivers and bench them, so that as and when the manufacturers require these drivers without paucity, so we are trying to connect them seamlessly so that patients do not suffer, and we come out of the situation that we are in today.
Yeah, I think that's great to know, and the way you're ramping up things as the situation is changing every day, and good to see that the industry is also very actively coming up with many solutions. Like you gave the example of Ashok Leyland. Besides this, besides the role of a driver, what are some of the other roles which are going to be extremely important? Like you already mentioned, the people who deliver stuff home, the last mile delivery, which is definitely going to be a very in demand kind of a job role in the coming months. Besides these, what do you think are the important job roles, where skilling should focus?
Good question. See, in fact, I'm sure you must have heard or seen that NSDC has created virtual portal
Yeah,
where we bridge the demand and supply called ASEEM,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if you look at it today, logistics is on top of the charts.
Hmm.
There are more than 5.1 lakh qualified trained workers who applied for the jobs in this ASEEM platform from various logistic companies, e-commerce companies from among the 12 subsectors. So, and we do recognize the gaps and the mismatch in demand, the job roles. So, if you look at, if I need to mention to you that which are all the job roles, I'll come to it. Uh, the top demand for the jobs are courier delivery executive, which is again last mile delivery. It is the most invested segment today in logistics. Okay, and there are a lot of startups as well investing into last mile logistics, especially the kind of Swiggy, Zomatos, which are also known as D2C, direct to consumer.
Yeah.
So, and these are all small shipments, can be as small as a pizza or a laptop or a mobile. So, this job role is on the spike, which is courier delivery executive, followed by warehouse picker. If you notice, there are large logistic parks coming around every, states in the peripheries, which are all 30 acres, 100 acres, and some of them are like airport, as big as an airport, tier 2, tier 3 kind of an airport with 130, 200 acres. Uh, so when the infrastructure goes up in logistics, automatically this is proportionate to having skilled workforce. So the job role of warehouse picker has been on the rise after last mile. Then we also have courier institutional sales executive, where in between we had all the offices running. This has been closed for the lockdown. So yeah, so warehouse and last mile delivery is where there are a number of job roles. At least in the entry level to mid managerial level is where the demands are. I would also like to tell you that in the country, these job roles are reflected in about 3-4 states, which is Karnataka stands number one because it is the capital of e-commerce today. Second is Maharashtra, third is Haryana, fourth is Uttar Pradesh, and Delhi NCR is also pretty fast ramping.
Okay. Yeah. So with this, I think now the biggest challenge for you is to ensure that these people, the people who would want to join as workforce, are aptly skilled. So what are some of the initiatives you're taking to make it like a blended learning, e-learning kind of a format? Because with the lockdown and so many restrictions, I'm sure classroom training also has got affected in the training centers.
Yeah, post-pandemic, I think our imparting of knowledge, skilling has completely gone virtual because of restrictions in travel, because of working in from the confines of home, working from home or working from anywhere. So this is what is in blended learning, where see, like I said, logistics. If you notice, to quote an example, during this lockdown, like the doctors, one set of workforce who are abstained from the lockdown are all the last mile delivery guys like Swiggy, Zomato, e-commerce companies. They are free to go with COVID appropriate behavior,
Yeah.
right? And which is an indication that there is a need for such people on the ground. So to train them, now we have gone virtual. They've been training hundreds of them on courier delivery executives, last mile delivery operators. And one thing that we also clearly observe is because of the pandemic, there's been a lot of flexibility and empathy that is coming in. And the observation is people are slowly and gradually shifting to electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another place where we've been asked to skill, because that requires a lot of knowledge how to charge. There are different battery chemistries involved.
Yeah.
Okay, and it does not have gears. Uh, there is a lot of gender diversity that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all these training today, which used to be on a pedagogy or a classroom kind of training, is completely moved into a digitized mode.
Mm-hmm.
So that is not only in India, it is globally, world over. Yeah.
Yeah, so as I understand the importance of, like you mentioned, the electric vehicles and earlier also about the drivers, is there an overlap of skilling between the logistics sector and the automotive sector? Or I'm asking this because it's a genuine doubt that I get as I listen
No,
to
no,
you.
it's a good question. Yeah, I'd be happy to clarify.
Yeah.
See, we are all interconnected.
Hmm.
Okay, so after all, there is in transportation or logistics, there is men and machine,
Hmm.
right? So about 4 years ago, what the government of India had done is they had kind of married LSE to the automotive sector in the SIAM, Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers Forum,
Okay.
where the OEMs, they bring the machine and
Okay.
we bring the skilled men, which
Okay.
can be a two-wheeler, three-wheeler. Of
Hmm.
course, we are confined to cargo and not passenger vehicles.
Yeah.
Okay, because we come under logistics. There is people logistics like Uber, Ola, Volvo buses. Of course, we do skill train lots of drivers. We have created a content called Heavy Commercial Vehicle Driver,
Hmm.
and we've been skilling them through RPL, through various government and funded programs, and giving it to the logistic service providers. So there's a lot of connect, especially now that the ICE engines, it is called in automotive parlance,
Hmm.
which is internal combustion engines, is now being, your diesel and petrol vehicle engines are now kind of coming down, and the electric vehicles, right from two-wheeler, three-wheeler, are going up. If you look at most of the, conglomerates in logistic business, each of them have already ordered for hundreds and thousands of vehicles. So again, in logistics, you have, small load-ins cargo, which is from 1 kg to 5 or 10 kgs. And you also have high-dense cargo, which is all your large appliances like air condition, refrigerator. Of course, during lockdown, the thing is pretty much stressed. Uh, Otherwise, you need people are shifting to electric vehicles where there's a humongous need to skill train men, women, and irrespective of the genders. So we've been training, and we see that there are a lot of gender diversity initiatives happening. And I'm glad to quote and denote that many of the companies have started fixing targets
Okay.
to move up on gender diversity. If you look at great companies like Mahindra and Mahindra, they've also taken 6 transgenders in their warehouses in Chennai. And in terms of productivity, they are above par. In
Hmm.
fact, they've just recently joined. And the benchmark is just not gender, but productivity.
Yeah.
These things have never been there, which is very encouraging. And more such companies, including the startups, have been embracing this and adapting to such skill levels, especially on electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
heartening to, I think with new technology, even the mindsets are undergoing a lot of change, and that's very nice to hear.
Yes.
Besides the points that we discussed so far, would you want to add something more? If we have missed something, particularly maybe the some kind of advice to the training partners or people connected with the ecosystem in logistics and e-commerce.
See, in fact, you were talking about technology. Today, logistic breeds technology. Okay.
Yeah.
And there is a humongous need for reskilling and upskilling.
Hmm.
Because if you look at trucks or even two-wheelers or a delivery boy today, Swiggy, Zomato, it is all Android. It is technology. They don't even take your signature.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one thing where the gig economy needs to embrace.
Hmm.
There are no contents available. We talk about industry 4.0, logistic 4.0. Of course, there are a lot of companies who have come out with various solutions that is happening on the operational side with logistic companies.
Hmm.
Like, so people are into AR, VR, robotics, blockchain, and whatnot. This is in terms of hardware, software, it has already hit our shows. I mean, like what is happening in, uh, US, UK, in developed nations is already in our shows as well. But we have not yet ramped the critical mass of the skilled workforce. So if you look at the new national logistic policy that is coming, like the new educational policy, there is a separate thing called the national workforce strategy. How
Hmm.
do we address this? How do we bring in more such skilling programs and training where there's a lot of interventions coming in from academia, from the industry, which has never been there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel this should have happened a couple of decades ago, but better late than never.
Yeah.
So I think it is time for the youngsters to embrace these things, upskill. What used to work about a decade ago does not work today. With automations and technology playing in, I think we need to bring ourselves to speed. And there's a need to skill train, collaborate with various stakeholders. And I think this can help our country to becoming the skilling capital in technology, which has already happened. If you look at the huge chunk of people in US, they're all from India.
Hmm.
So this will spread out to finance, to logistics, to various other functional aspects as well. And the industry and academia has started to acknowledge, identify, and adapt to things like apprenticeships,
Right.
which was not, which had not gained that much of advocacy or implementation, which is now on fast tracking mode. There's a point that I'd like to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good that you mentioned it. I think I missed talking about it, getting carried away by many other things because this sector is doing so much. You're also doing a lot of work in encouraging youth to join these graduation programs like BWalk and BBA, which I think is also like a role model sector skill council for other skill councils also to emulate, because I think many skill councils should be proposing such programs so that we attract people for degrees as well as work integrated learning while they are pursuing their degree course like BWalk or BBA. Yeah.
So yeah, a good point. I think I also tried. Try answering your question and see, early bird catches the worm. So my CEO, Captain Ramanujam, has been a visionary,
Yeah.
and like MSDE, I'm very glad to denote here that we have embraced what MSDE and SDC has been guiding us with. So we are skilling is our core competency. We have about 4 buckets of verticals, and skilling is meaningless without placement.
Right.
So we are into skilling, and we are into placement. Seamlessly, we try to do, especially the certified workforce, and this has been numbers are fast ramping up. Then we are into academia as well. And we are the first sector skills council. And our strength lies with the industry partnerships. If you look at all the captains of the industries, there are so many associations. And 90% of logistics are with MSMEs, you know. So we've gotten all of them. And pandemic has been a great boon to logistics and e-commerce. So together we've come. And Ministry of HRD, which is Education Ministry, has also acknowledged the fact that there's a lot of jobs here. So, I mean, one mandate that we clearly have from the government of India is to skill train and deploy the people in the logistics sector. So they have given us clearances to launch and formalize education right from 9th standard to 11th standard. We were the first in the country, as you rightly said. We pioneered and launched a BBA logistic program, which is a 3-year degree program like BCom, BA Economics. This must have come at least a few decades ago, but we have formalized it. And it is a blended program where out of 3 years, you have 6 semesters. The alternate semesters, that is the first, third, and fifth semester, the students study in the college, in pedagogy, classroom. The second, fourth, and sixth, the even semester, they are apprenticed in the industry, where these students learn and earn. And if you look at another point, I'd like to, I'm very delighted to say is more than 22% of the students are women. Okay, which has never been there. See, logistics per se is not a glam job.
Yeah.
It is a non-aspirational sector. So the trends indicate, then we interviewed these girls and girls' parents, asking them, why have you joined? Why can't you take BA Economics or, BCom in the humanity? Why come to logistics? One answer that came out is e-commerce. Like IT, they all want to embrace this. So we have bridged that well with the academia and industry through this apprenticeship program. And we find that we are into the second year. So next year, these students will become logistic professionals by completing this 3 years. So where 6 months they work in the college, for example, the first semester we teach them on the fundamentals of logistics, where we teach them on the GST, the e-way bills, things have gone paperless. Second semester, these students work in large logistic companies, e-commerce companies, where they have a hands-on experience on seeing what a warehouse is, of course, with complete COVID appropriate behavior.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say something which is unique here, because we have students from a small place like Rajahmundry, okay, who have worked in Delhi NCR, okay, where the companies such as Ecom Express, Delivery, Flipkart, even during the first wave, they have worked in the warehouse. They were given accommodation, food, incentives. People who were cribbing to go because cultures are different, languages are different. They are new. They're their first job. Parents were restricting. COVID is also playing truant. Despite all these challenges, they have got incentives. They really love the jobs. And what has happened is, having tasted this apprenticeship program, they have also, through word of mouth, bought in their kins, relatives to join these courses, which is a good sign. In fact, Madhuri, these guys had even blisters on their head packing these things. Parents were complaining, and the same parents of kids once having tasted success, because see, logistics, you need to dirty your hands.
Yes.
Okay, so, and these same people have turned around and given us a shot in the arm and bringing more people into these courses. So to conclude, we are into school. We've got the clearances from the National Education Department, Ministry, to launch programs to formalize education in logistics, right from school, colleges, humanities, degree programs, PG courses, engineering, ITI, polytechnics. Like I earlier said, technology is now there, very strongly placed, adapted in logistics. We need logistic technicians, Because if you look at automation in terms of carousel, sorters, conveyors that is common, what you see in the airport, there are larger, bigger, better conveyors in the warehouses today.
Yeah.
So we need technicians which have not been there. So we are fast ramping up, and we've also on the verge of launching MS Data Analytics in supply chain and logistics in the engineering colleges, and we've already signed a few MOUs with leading institutions in India. A couple of points. Two things is pandemic has brought in logistic learning management system, which is LLMS. So we have our own platform where we skill train thousands of people, including the driver training refreshers course that we TOTs. We use the platform which was never there pre-pandemic. And we also have an entrepreneurship vertical in LSE. I don't know if any of the other sector skill has, because there's a lot of startups. Okay, entrepreneurship per se is a force multiplier of jobs, right? So we have an entrepreneurship. We are in touch with a lot of startups, and we've also been promoting entrepreneurships in logistics sector through NAPS program. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for sharing such detailed information about the initiatives, the achievements, and of course, today the crisis that we are all going through, how this industry sector is playing a very important role in helping us live, breathe, and also get things delivered at the comfort of our homes. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Been a pleasure.
I'd be in touch with you. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. Bye-bye.